You are listening to the season 1 finale of the Air Hug Community Podcast. This is episode number 140, and I am Judy Arzoza. You did hear that right. This is the season 1 finale of the Air Hug Community Podcast. If this happens to be your first podcast, we have 139 episodes previous to this one that are all about living an awesome, amazing second half of your life. We cover all sorts of topics, the good, the bad, the ugly. Sometimes we have guests. But anyways, today is indeed the finale of season 1. I'm going to take some time, do some research, and come back at another point in time with season 2. And after today's episode, if you haven't listened, I urge you to go back, listen to the other episodes. And in the meantime, follow me on Instagram at Judy_Arzoza for midlife transformation tips having to deal with physical wellness, including exercise and nutrition, and emotional and mental wellness, having to do with mindset and amazing self-love. Maybe that sounds cliche, but frankly, it isn't. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with today's episode because I'm super excited about it and I want to share it with you now. Okay, so just the other day, I came up with this idea to ask a lot of the women in my circle, so in my workout community, yada, 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 that kind of community. I asked them if they had to guess, what did they think were the 3 essential pillars for healthy aging? And lo and behold, I really enjoyed a lot of the answers that I got, so I will share them here with you today. So, number 1 was eat well. The rest are in no particular order, but the 2 that came up most often were eat well and work out. Amongst the others, here are several of them. Uninterrupted time for yourself. Happiness. Health. Moderation in food and alcohol. Rest. Friendships. Keep doing what makes you happy. Take care of mental, physical self. Be authentic. Eat for fuel. Relish in the moments. Repel negativity. Faith. Having a purpose. Being outdoors. And age positivity. Now, I thought these were really sparking. They definitely sparked interest, right? But let's say, for the sake of argument, that we want to consider the 3 physical pillars that most contribute to healthy aging. And why am I saying this? Well, because the fact of the matter is we have one body to live in, right? And if it fails, then so do we. So what are some of the practical pillars of healthy aging that we really cannot ignore? So it turns out there's actually been a lot of studies done on this, and I just found this fascinating. And my inspiration for this podcast today came from an article I read by Dr. Pope Mosley, MD. And who is Dr. Pope Mosley? Well, he is a lung and intensive care physician and biomedical sciences researcher. He's an exercise physiologist and physician, right? But he found kettlebell training while he himself was rehabilitating from acute lumbar disc herniation at 63. He became a strong first level 1 certified kettlebell instructor, 6 months before his 65th birthday, and he completed the level 2 certification at age 67. Let me just tell you, that is pretty amazing. So I'm pretty well acquainted with Strong First Kettlebell program, and he has my utmost respect. But the fact of the matter is that he knows science and he knows training, and he has first-hand experience as being a senior-aged athlete. And he lives by his words. So let's get to it, right? now that you've guessed or you've heard what a lot of the people I polled guessed, let's talk about what the research says are the three physical pillars that are associated with healthy aging. Okay, all right. Number one is the ability to get up from a seated position on the floor. And this makes me laugh because people who train with me know sometimes we're doing a circuit or we'll do a superset, and if they're on the floor, they may want to actually crawl to the next station or crawl to get into position for the next station. And 100% of the time I say you must get up off the floor and start all over again, no matter what it is you're doing. And it's because of this. So in a study of aged 51 to 80-year-olds, the ability to rise from a seated position on the floor conferred a 21% survival advantage, and this was over a 6.3-year follow-up. So think about this. If this were a drug, getting off the floor would have been hailed as a miracle, right? In the fight against the effects of aging. Isn't that crazy? Okay. The next one is posture. And I really do feel like posture is underappreciated, even though I preach on it quite often. If you've ever been in my gym or the people who train with me know that we train for posture all the time. And posture actually is a marker of decline in frailty and aging. A study from 2015 shows that posture is a better marker of decline than gait speed. And gait speed has always been the so-called gold standard for healthy aging, and there is a study to back that up. By the way, if you want these studies, you can just reach out to me. My email's in the show notes, and I'll provide the references for you. I don't want to bore you with all these boring references. Okay, the last one is grip strength. So isn't that interesting? So grip strength has proven to be a reliable marker of resilience in aging or in frailty in its absence. There are multiple studies of over 100,000 participants that show that grip strength is a predictor of mortality in a variety of disease states, such as cancer, heart disease, yada, yada, yada. And a weak grip increases the likelihood of dying in healthy adults older than 60. So the women always say to me when we're doing farmer carries, well, I could carry it longer except for the grip part. It's not too heavy. And I always laugh and I say, well, what we're training is your grip. So, and even though I will use grips sometimes for things like heavy deadlifts or heavy one-arm rows, most of the time my goal is to not use them, and it's because of this. So I really found this fascinating, right? Ability to get up off the floor from a seated position, posture, and grip strength. I wonder how many of you did not think of these three things. I did not think of these three things. Now, if you think about all the other things that I mentioned above, especially the physical things, like staying active, eating well, exercising well, all of those things actually contribute to these three things. But these three things have actually been studied and linked with healthier aging. So get out there, and while you're doing your exercise, number one, you can't just walk all the time. And walking is awesome. And I'm a huge advocate of walking 150 minutes or more per week. I think I've said that over and over again. But you do also need to have the strength to be able to be upright and have awesome posture so you're not rounded over. You need to be able to have the strength to get yourself up off the floor. And I'll tell you what, anyone who's become a grandmother knows this. Like, I'm about to go babysit my grandkids for the next 3.5 days, and I'm going to be getting up and down from the floor. I can't even tell you how many times a day, how many times an hour. I'm going to guess that it's going to be more than 20 or 30 times a day. And you know, when I was a mother and my kids were little, I didn't even think about it. I do think about it now because things are just a little bit stiffer. I mean, it happens, But darn those ligaments and joints, they are not exactly what they used to be. And so it's really, really important to have mobile, strong muscles around those joints and ligaments. Anyways, and then grip strength, right? It's amazing. You know, it's not just being able to open a jar, right? But also to be able to hold on to things. And I found that to be fascinating. And by the way, that's another reason why we like to train things like pull-ups and chin-ups, even assisted, right? But having that grip and pulling some portion of your body weight, some of it or all of it, is a super valuable tool. So listen, this is the end of season 1, but it's not goodbye. You can follow me for healthy midlife transformational tips, exercises, nutrition strategies, and mindset approaches right over on Instagram and also on Pinterest. On Instagram, my handle is Judy_Arizosa, and it's in the show notes. And on Instagram, you can just look up Judy Arizosa. So I'd love to know from you. Drop me a line on Instagram and let me know what you like to follow better. Are you more apt to scroll on Instagram or Pinterest? Doesn't matter. And actually, Instagram is more social media, but I do it as a service for midlife people to live better in the second half of their life, whereas Pinterest is way more of a search engine. And so on there, I will post things like references to podcasts and references to healthy exercise. And I will post an occasional recipe or two as well. So listen, perhaps you would like some assistance with training to become efficient at these 3 pillars. If you are midlife women and this is something you're interested in, because hey, healthy aging, right? Feel free to reach out to me. I will put a link in the show notes to my online workout programs. If you're local to me, please reach out and we can talk about training in person so that you can become proficient at those 3 pillars and rock your midlife and beyond.